Anthony Scaramucci, good evening. The most important quality, then, you say, is authenticity. You managed to be authentic to the president when he was surrounded by, what, vipers, swamp monsters, you call them?
I don't know. You think they're nice people? They're not very nice people. And just go to the president's 60 Minutes interview where he said that the people here, like the real estate people here in New York, are babies compared to these people. This is a rough, nasty place. And, you know, look, I took a rough and tumble fall, but I do write about it in the book very honestly. I probably made 3 or 4 phone books, volumes of mistakes in my 11 days. But having said that, I was on the campaign for almost a year, and I worked for the president on his transition team. So I think I have a pretty good read on him and why he won. And I also grew up in a blue-collar neighborhood and a blue-collar family. And so whether people like the president or they dislike him, there's 62.9 million people that voted for him. But and the people from my neighborhood, voted for him.
I know. I want to talk to you about this authenticity, because this is something you return to a lot. I want you to give me an example of where you gave it to him straight, because you're quite similar in characters. You say things straight. So what were the things that he was doing when you looked him in the eye and you said, Mr. President, you can do better than that?
Well, you know, listen, I probably didn't say it directly like that, but I did say, Emily, why are you declaring war on the media? Why are you accepting Bannon's war declaration on the media? And the president looked at me. We were in the Oval Office shortly after my press conference, my one and only press conference. He said, you know, I had such a great relationship with the media. What do you think turned it sour? I said, you can't declare war on these people. The American president has to be held accountable by the free press in our society. And so one of the things, you may not remember this, but Sean Spicer had the cameras and the lights turned off in the press room. I mean, it's just ridiculous. So the first thing that I did was turn the lights and cameras back on and see if we could start engaging people. And you may or may not remember my comms plan. You know, John Kelly fired me before I could execute it, but my comms plan was a servicing plan to the international media like yourselves, but also the domestic media.
I get that, and it's about relations with the media, and it's not making them any of the people and all the things he said. But there must have been, I'm presuming, policy moments where, whether it was the Muslim ban, whether it was family separation, children in cages, you know, would you talk to him? Would you say you are tearing American values apart? Because you don't believe in any of that stuff.
Listen, No, I broke with him in the Muslim ban. I thought that was ridiculous. The child separation policy was absolutely ridiculous.
But did you say that to him? Did you actually say?
Of course.
I mean, it's more than ridiculous. It's inhuman, right?
Of course I said that to him, okay? And I also played it straight with him. You know, he called me after the Helsinki situation where I said, you can't talk badly about the intelligence agencies. You're the American president and the commander-in-chief. And he got mad at me and said I didn't know what was going on behind the scenes, where he had a great meeting with Putin and they were talking about cleaning up Syria and fixing terrorism and all this sort of stuff. I said, Mr. President, all of that is fine, but let me tell you something. Okay, someone walks in my office, tells me I'm tall and I'm right. I know I don't have a relationship. But if they tell me I'm short and I'm wrong, now I know I have the start of something. And sycophancy is not loyalty. Sycophancy is self-preservation.
So we know that.
For me, I hit him directly and said, hey, you shouldn't be doing this.
Do you tell him?
You're going to turn these intelligence... Go ahead.
Do you tell him he's a terminal, consistent liar? Do you tell him that a lot of the stuff he says is absolute, blatantly untrue?
Okay, so you're going down the same road that a lot of media journalists do here in the United States. I was on Morning Joe this morning. They're decidedly negative on the guy. Forget about all that. We know that he's not saying the truth. He probably even knows that he's not saying the truth. What you need to understand about his base, they don't care. You can spend all night going through the 5,000...
This is not about whether I'm going down the same line. You are the one who said he's authentic. This is why he gets people, you know, 62 million on his side. This is why he's the president. He's authentic. I'm just asking you how somebody who consistently lies, you said doesn't tell the truth, can be considered authentic.
There's no question about it. This is the politics of these blue-collar people. You should open up the book and read it. The politics of the blue-collar people.
I've read the whole thing.
Okay, so then you know that it's based on emotion, Emily. You know that it's based on that seismic feeling that they have been underrepresented. It's the same reason why a lot of people in your nation voted for Brexit. They feel like the fat cats in their society and the establishment in the society have not been listening to their trials and tribulations. They've gone from aspirational working class people to desperational.
And you know the same thing is said here, that a lot of people feel that they have been lied to. Now, I'm not saying that the president has not delivered on what he said he would do. He did. He is doing. But you make the case of him being authentic. Now, I'm trying to understand in your head, your moral compass
So
between...
You're saying that an authentic hold on a second. You're saying that an authentic person can't lie?
Well, do you believe what he says? I would have
first of all, everybody lies. Everybody lies. But I mean, you're saying that, and we know that when what do we know when a politician's lying? When their lips are moving. So what are you saying exactly? So he's a liar, and so therefore he's not authentic?
All right, let me give you an example.
That. First of all,
let me give you an example. So you say in the book, for example, after Charlottesville, a young woman killed by a white supremacist, that he goes in and he refuses to give the media what they want to hear. So he condemns violence on all sides. Now, why is that an authentic thing to say if you're just trying to mess with the media? Why is that an authentic thing to say?
Okay, well, hold on. It's authentic to him. That's a representation of his true self. I totally disagree with that. I went on a late-night comedy show, disagree with it. I went on George Stephanopoulos' show, disagree with it. I wrote about it in my book and disagreed with it. But the point is, you can disagree with somebody, but still like, in general, the policies that they're putting together. It's not, you can't have a black and white test, Emily. There's a lot of gray in our society. You can't just say, okay, the guy's a liar, therefore I don't like everything about him. They're all liars. You know I'm right about that.
Well, on that note, and you know that we could go on for a long time, you accused Steve Bannon, memorably, of self-flating. You might not have used the words again in the book.
I love the way you pronounce it, and I love the way you I mean, it's like a euphemism for what I really said. It's more like hot yoga for me. I mean, that's how I sort of saw it. You know what I mean? It's obviously fake news. He couldn't do what I said, obviously, so it's fine.
Do you still agree with the sentiment, even if you won't use the words again?
What I was saying, it was totally taken out of context. The guy was trying to ask me to do a profile on me in his magazine. Go listen to the tape. I said, I'm not a self-promoter like this guy. I'm not doing something that I described very colloquially. I shouldn't have trusted the journalist. As I write in the book, I'm totally accountable for it. I said something that I thought was off the record. The guy was very transactional, a little bit of a lowlife. And he helped to get me fired. But you know what? The truth of the matter is it worked out, Emily, because I got my relationship back with my wife. I've returned to my company. And I think I wrote a very honest account about what I saw during the campaign, during my 10 days in the White House. I was also very honest about the mistakes that I made. But I also wrote about the 12th day. What do you do when you've gotten the brains beaten out of you and you got to get up off the canvas?
It's good to hear. Thank you very much for joining us, Anthony Scaramucci.